tell, Your Honor. A few days later, my great-grandfather Amos came back into town and told everyone he'd been taken away on this ship by aliens, see. They held him for 2 days doing experiments. They were sticking him with needles and they were flashing lights.
To the point, please, Mr. Flynn.
I was just getting there, Your Honor. Everybody figured he was a little nuts, you know what I mean? He couldn't get a job. His children were shut out from everybody in town. Nobody believed him. And that's why I'm here today, Your Honor. We went through their archives and we found proof that his great-grandfather abducted my great-grandfather and just took him away in a spaceship. Frankly, Your Honor, we want damages.
How do you plead? Could I please have a translation team in here?
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
And this is
We Are All Kosh.
a Babylon 5 rewatch. Hang on, my coffee's too far away. I found it. Hey, we've gotten some really cute comments on the YouTube channel recently, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who's given us compliments. I don't actually know what to do with them, so I just heart them. Really complicated relationship with compliments. But the gentle wit comment, I felt that.
I appreciate it.
I appreciated that. And the I love you guys. So we love you guys too. That's why we do this. Partly so I am forced to sit here and have a conversation with Matt about something that is not work and not kids, but also we do it for the people, for all fans. In fact, we got invited. Would you call it invited to participate in the Signal Awards this year? I guess we got an email directly from them that was like, hey, we've been trying to get a hold of you. We really want you guys to apply. Can you please apply? Which is fair. They did try to get a hold of me last year, and I was like, no.
Scam.
No.
Another one of these.
No, I knew they weren't a scam. Like, I knew the Signal Awards were a thing.
Oh, I spent like 20 minutes vetting them.
Yeah, like I knew they were a thing, but that you have to pay to apply, which is fine. It makes sense on that way everybody doesn't just like, sure, I'll throw in literally I have 5 podcasts. I'll submit all of them, and then all the judges have to then go through all of the submissions. So I get it. But at the same time, I was like, you know how long it took me to believe that someone had actually sent me an email that was asking me to submit our podcast for an award?
That wasn't just a blanket email.
I was like, this isn't real. It was like an email chain of people being like, who do we need to contact at Strange and Beautiful Book Club to get them to email us back? And me on the other side going, well, me, but I don't know. This feels like a form letter. And I was like, Matt, it's weird thinking, right? That they would have sent emails back and forth and then emailed me directly.
It's a little convoluted
only
to imagine that as a whole marketing scheme.
Only as a marketing scheme. And he was like, yeah, that's probably real. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, thank you. We appreciate you guys. We're so glad to have people that listen to us doing this. Even if it's, of course we're not huge, and it's fine. And even though we're not speaking to millions of people, it feels like you're chatting with your friends in a room, which is exactly what I wanted it to feel like.
That's the vibe we want.
That's the vibe we were going for. So, thank you. Today we're going to talk about, I put a sticky note on my notes and I stuck it right over it. I'm starting to sound like an amateur over here.
Ooh.
No, I didn't. It's not even under there. Oh my God, where did I write it down? Season 1, episode
14.
15. We did 14 last time. TKO was 14. This is episode 15, The Grail.
The Grail.
Just Grail, actually. Just Grail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. You know what? I actually find this episode really charming. I really like
It's a cute filler episode.
There's some elements of this episode that I really, really liked. Notwithstanding the fact that it feels like It feels like a high school theater production. I don't know any other way to describe this. According to IMDb, on the trivia, Richard Compton, the director, quit or was fired directly before this episode and then refused to provide any direction. Well, yeah, because he just got fired. They're probably like, this is your last episode. And he was like, fucking fine then. I'm not going to do it. What are you going to do? Fire me? And so the only direction that they were
had to figure
provided
it out themselves.
was by the like camera guy, John C. Flynn III, the like camera director.
Nice.
Yeah. So I looked it up as like really? Did he really get fired? And yeah, he did Infection. Remember My Life Friar, that one? Infection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Midnight on the Firing Line, or the Ragesh 3 episode. Ragesh 3, that one?
Yeah.
Believers, our favorite episode of all time, obviously. The War Prayer, which is the My Shoes Are Too Tight episode.
Okay.
And then this one, Grail, and that's it. No more. So if it's a believable timeline of him being fired prior to this one. I don't know why he was fired. I don't know any of the details except that what it does end up with is these poor actors are just doing their best. But there's a couple moments where you can tell they don't know which direction to face. They don't know.
Right.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll get there as we chat about it. More importantly, there's some pretty heavy-hitting side characters, like actors playing side. Heavy-hitting to us, right? There's David Warner, who played Aldous Gaish. Gaish. Well, it's Aldous after Aldous Huxley, Brave New World.
Oh.
And then Mira Furlan's husband's last name is Gaish. So they were like, we'll just put those two together. And then William Sanderson. Oh, sorry. If you don't know who David Warner is, he played in Tron.
Yeah.
And more importantly, he was in My Best Friend is a Vampire as the professor. And then he was also in Titanic. He was like the strong arm guy for Billy Zane in the Titanic.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. He's the guy who was like carrying the gun around.
Gotcha.
And he's the one who imprisons Jack in that room. And yeah, he's in that. And he's also in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. So, I mean, some pretty big movies. Tron's big. Tron got a sequel.
Oh, yeah. Tron's real big.
Tron got a sequel.
Especially in this house.
Whose music was done by Daft Punk.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Have I ever rewatched the sequel after I saw it in the theaters? No. Should I probably give it another shot? Also, yes. That's one of the ones that falls under the category of did I not like it or did it just not have subtitles? Also, that was like the first outing of the de-aging technology.
Yeah.
And they tried to do that for Jeff Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
And it was horrifying on like a visceral level.
I think the horror was part of the plan.
Well,
it was supposed to be disconcerting,
well, all
like
I remember,
uncanny.
No, I don't think so. I think he was just supposed to look like young Jeff Bridges. All I remember is we were in the theater and you're like whisper explaining the Uncanny Valley to me while we're trying to watch this movie. You're like, have you heard of the Uncanny Valley? And I was like, I'm trying to watch the fucking movie. And I also why I didn't like it.
It's important.
I needed to know right then and there. I did.
Had to.
I did. And then William Sanderson, who plays Deuce, is Sebastian from Blade Runner.
Right?
I was like, Sebastian,
That's
hello.
a pretty big sci-fi name to just pull out.
Yeah, I was looking at his IMDb credits, and Blade Runner is one of his first like movie roles, and then he doesn't have another big role until he's Sheriff Bud Dearborn on True Blood.
Oh, really?
So it's not like they were taking him away from Hollywood. Like, and I love William Sanderson. Like, I love Blade Runner is like my favorite movie of all time. If you want to see me just weep because I love how much I love a movie. Blade Runner's it, but like I guess he didn't go on to do a ton of stuff. Like he did stuff. He was busy. He just wasn't like he was like character actor busy.
Right.
So this was a character actor role. They asked him to do it. He did it, and he does a great job just walking around and being menacing, which is his only purpose. And we will talk about how a character like Deuce can exist only because of how good Garibaldi is at his job.
How good he is.
He's like a protection racket guy, and he is so influential and has so much confidence in his ability to get away with what he's doing. He kidnaps like the ombuds, like the official, like an Earth Force official, to mind wipe him because he's like, no one's gonna get me. Garibaldi can't do his job. Anyway, we're gonna get there. And then Jim Norton, who plays the ombuds, which I looked up ombuds because I know the name ombudsman. This is the whatever. But I didn't think they were like judges, like Judge Judy style, like petty claims court or whatever is happening here.
Yeah.
They're not. They're like when you want to complain about a particular, like a government service or they're like a specifically for, they represent like government services or whatever. Sometimes they are like a truly neutral party that will hear, and I don't know. I'm sure Meg is probably listening to this like, no, that's not what an ombuds is. I'm sorry. I don't have a real good grasp of what they actually are, but it didn't sound like what we used them for in this case, which is anything from that guy abducted my grandfather and
that guy's grandfather abducted my grandfather.
And I want damages.
And ruined his family's life.
Yeah.
Because of the consequences of
all the way through to this guy has some kind of extortion protection scheme and he's literally murdering people. Can you weigh in on this?
Right.
It's fine. Well, it's fine. But he was in Memoirs of an Invisible Man. He's the doctor.
Okay.
And that's one of those movies I like, but I can't get you to watch because of your disgust and hatred for Chevy Chase. Every time I put on a movie, you're like, oh, fucking Chevy Chase. You will not watch a Chevy Chase movie.
It's hard for me to enjoy Chevy Chase
I know.
movies.
Well, I just got the book, Memoirs of an Invisible Man, because I knew it was a book. I found it at the thrift store, and I was like, hell yeah. So maybe if we read the book, I can get you to also watch the movie.
Maybe.
He's Chevy Chase, just like he's Chevy Chase and everything. He's an asshole, but Daryl Hannah is in it. So...
Okay.
Be in it for that. He's also holodeck Einstein in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
The judge?
Yeah. So, he also had a distinguished career. And she's not credited, and I don't actually think she's the voice of it, but the Knockoline Feeder sounds like Zelda Rubinstein, like from Poltergeist, the little lady. From Poltergeist.
Gotcha.
Don't go to the light, Susan. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly who the Knockoline Feeder sounds like. And I was like, is that you, Zelda? Or we watched that one movie. It wasn't Audacity, but it was a single
word.
A single word. And it was
Annihilation?
No, it was the one where she was getting her son to steal people's eyes for her.
Oh, God. That one. Didn't we watch that on Chris's recommendation?
Yes, we did. And I gotta have to look it up.
Anguish.
I knew it was one word. I knew it started with an A. All I could think was Audacity. And I was like, that's not it. That's not it. It's Anguish. Anguish is, it would probably be a good one.
With Zelda in it?
With Zelda Rubinstein is in it as Mother. It's okay. Yeah, it's a thing. It needs to be watched. Pithy sci-fi commentary and book and movie recommendations. That's why people come to us, obviously.
Curated suggestions.
Yeah, this was written by Christy Marks. She only wrote this episode. She never wrote another episode.
Of anything?
Oh, no. She wrote another.
Okay.
She wrote other shit. She just never wrote another. Some of them write several episodes of Babylon 5. This one, she only wrote this one. Her only other episode credits, besides, I think, one Outer Limits or New Twilight Zone, is a bunch of animated kids TV shows, including 3 episodes of Reboot.
Nice.
Now you know. And it was directed by, actually not directed by, probably directed by, credited directed by Richard Compton.
Okay.
And I noticed in the credits, although it didn't show up when I was doing the research, there's a concept consultant, Harlan Ellison.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, because he's the one who didn't write the book that Susan was reading last time. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. And this aired July 6th, 1994.
Oh, so jump.
which means we've hopped the summer break.
Yeah.
Because the previous one aired in May 25th, and then this one's July 6th. Because TV shows used to take the summer off.
Yeah.
Because nobody was at home, so you didn't air it. So literally, by the time school got out, there was nothing to watch on TV unless you wanted to watch
It was just
reruns.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was awful. It was a wild time. You guys would not survive.
The youngins
The
wouldn't survive.
The youths. Our kids were like, well, we'll just find.
They would survive. They would just suffer.
Yeah. They just interact with TV so differently. Because, like, our kids will binge watch a show. They binge watched, they had free run of the TV for the last 2 days, and they watched all of Alton Brown. And
old and new.
Ugliest Houses in America. Not old and new. He's got a lot of old, but they rewatched the new ones, which they'd already watched them once. They binged them again. Then they watched a bunch of No Demo Reno, and then they watched. They are 9 and 11. They watched just HGTV. I love them. Anyway, Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 15, The Grail. We open on our current trending opening, which is like somebody docking.
Yep. A ship coming in.
Did you have something to say?
Season 1, Episode 15, Grail.
Grail, not The Grail. I just want it to be The Grail. You know, watery tarts lying about in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government.
Yeah.
The Holy Grail. Listen.
It's not the Grail. It's a Grail.
Well, you know, Babylon 5, 'tis a silly place. The best part about this opening, honestly, is I didn't know Susan had the option of sitting in a chair. I thought she just stood.
Oh, while she's working?
And she doesn't have a height, like a standing height computer desk. Her computer is low, like you should be sitting in front of it, and yet she mostly is standing. But in this episode, she's sitting. Who knew?
This was the early days of desk computer work. Nobody really knew what the future would be like.
Do you stand? I don't know. She needs to be ready to run at any moment. It'll hurt her Russian integrity if she sits for it. Maybe she's broken through to a new level of, I can be vulnerable in front of these people, so I can maybe sit down for 5 minutes. I don't know. And then we cut to the Zocalo where Sinclair is walking up to Garibaldi because Garibaldi is shoveling something in his mouth. And I always wonder about this as he's clearly eating something.
Jerry Doyle's eating.
He's eating.
He's chomping.
Yeah. What did they
What
have
is
him
this?
eating? How many takes? How many takes did they have to do?
It's like Chris Pratt. Apparently he's known on set for when he's eating, he eats every take.
Yeah.
And there was a scene in Parks and Rec where he ate like 12 double cheeseburgers through successive takes because he had to have the scene needed him to start with a fresh double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So he wasn't pretending to take like one bite and then like rotating it slightly so he could, or hiding it under his hand so he could fake it. No, he'd eat the whole thing every time. And I feel like Jerry Doyle is probably similar.
Yeah. Two things I always think about. Are they eating? How much do they end up having to eat? And then every time I see a pet, I do the math and I'm like, oh, that pet is dead. Is it dead or is it not dead? Like in real life. Those are the two things that always go through my mind when we're watching these old shows. And it also reminds me of, we don't like him anymore, but the guy who played in the movie you used to like, Kevin Spacey.
Oh.
When he eats the whole banana.
Yes.
And he actually ate the whole banana, like peel and all.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of that movie?
K-Pax?
K-Pax. I remember you read the book and the sequel, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, Sinclair goes, food digests better if you chew it first.
They say food digests better if you chew it first.
Don't talk. I've seen you eat. Does the term Doppler effect ring a bell?
Commander Sinclair.
And Garibaldi goes, Psh, I've seen you eat. Does the word Doppler effect ring a bell? And I don't. What are they using Doppler effect for here?
I thought about that a little bit.
Please explain it to me.
Okay, so there's two Doppler effects.
Okay.
Well, it's the same phenomenon, one applied to sound and one applied to light.
Should I mention at this point you are published in physics? Okay, go ahead.
So, when you're talking about the Doppler effect in light, it's red shifting.
Okay.
Or blue shifting when like galaxies are moving away from us or towards us so fast, their color changes.
Yeah, it stretches or scrunches the light.
But then for sound, it's the pitch changes.
Yeah.
I don't know how that applies to eating.
Maybe he eats so fast his food looks red because it's moving farther away.
Or maybe he's eating so fast it affects the appearance or the sound. I don't know.
I was like,
I think it was probably just like, oh, the Doppler effect is when things move fast. Okay.
I was like, okay. I didn't know if I was missing something. I was like, I don't think that makes any sense.
I churned on it a little bit.
I feel like maybe black hole, event horizon, even like something else would have worked here, not Doppler effect. But it was a joke. Garibaldi didn't know what Doppler effect was, and Sinclair didn't have time to correct him because immediately Delenn walks up and is like, Commander, why are you out here? Why are you not going to greet our honored guest? His ship is docking even now, and he's like, oh
shit.
Well, what? Delenn's like, yeah, we wanted to be the first to go, like, say hi and offer our reverences. And Sinclair's like, oh, I didn't get a memo. Like, I didn't.
Nobody alerted me.
Nobody said somebody was coming.
What's going on?
And Delenn's like, okay, well, you have time to change if you hurry.
So hurry.
Go fucking change. Go do it. And she goes, to think that you have such a man among your people. We must not keep him waiting. And Garibaldi's like, oh, okay, cool. And he slides Sinclair's dish over to him, and he's like, I'll eat this too. Sinclair's like, you know what? If he's such a honored person, I should probably have an honor guard with me. You know? And Garibaldi goes,
quick thinking.
Got it. And then he goes to eat, and he smacks the fork against his teeth. And you hear like a really loud click right before the cut. And every time I rewatched this episode, I heard it. I was like, ow! Oh, God. Yeah. This is the drawback of doing so much audio editing, is I have to remind myself probably other people aren't hearing the thing you're hearing. Because I just edited a video for a family thing, and I can hear myself sniffing in the video. And I was like, I should go in and take out the sniffs. I can't take out the sniffs because it's a video. It's not separate audio tracks. And I was like, no one else can hear you sniffing. No one else is gonna. No, it's gonna be. It's gonna be fine. Yeah. We cut away from this to meet the two most important characters in the episode, I guess. Jinxo and Deuce. I just love that they all have trendy pirate nicknames.
Right.
Like, clearly, if you are some sort of criminal in Down Below, we can't call you by your name. You need to have your, like, street name on Babylon 5. It's fine. But Deuce, Sebastian, pops out and he's like, Jinxo, you've been avoiding me. And this is when you can really start to see there's nobody at the helm. Everybody's just doing their best.
Right.
Because they're like, hey, you're avoiding me, Jinxo. And Jinxo should be, by all rights, could be a kind of cool and interesting character. Because he's the, like, bystander in so much tragedy that has happened that has previously only been alluded to, but that he is an actual survivor of. So we find out that he worked on the construction of all 5 Babylon stations. And he just so happened to leave every time they disappeared, blew up, sabotaged, whatever. So they call him Jinxo because he jinxes.
Every time he leaves.
Yeah, because he's cursed. So he won't leave Babylon 5. He will not leave Babylon 5 because he believes that if he does, it will explode or disappear or something. That sounds like it should be an interesting character. And I think what they're trying to go for is he's like a unemployed, because there's no he's a construction worker, although we've had lots of allusions to there being construction projects going on Babylon 5.
Right? Like, he could find work. He would be probably like a senior construction guy.
Even the ombuds guy is like, you could literally be hired by anybody within one, like any jump in any direction, there's going to be a job for you.
Yeah.
So I'm kicking you off the station so that you will go and seek gainful employment. But clearly there is, and it's fine. It's fine. So what they're going for is this, like, I mean, clearly he's got to be smart enough to be a, like, 10th class or whatever they call him later, like zero-G construction worker.
Yeah.
And yet he comes off as, like, drug addict, but he's not supposed to come off as, like, substance abuse disorder guy because he's got his jacket. It's, like, wrapped around him. He's, like, slowly trudging through down below. And this is when Deuce shows up and he's like, you've been avoiding me.
Yeah, and I think
haven't I been good to you?
A thing where more/actual direction would have adjusted his portrayal.
Yeah.
But I think he was just going for, like, slightly aloof, construction worker.
Yeah. Traumatized. They were going for traumatized, but what he comes off as is like
aloof and slightly goofy.
Poor and squirrely.
Yeah.
And like, well, if you're poor, then you're probably a drug addict. I mean, isn't that what they all are? I don't know. It's just that's what it comes off as, is like,
yeah.
And I get where they were going, but I don't think they got there. And I think if we had Jinx, if Jinx could have been more of like a, I'm traumatized, and less of a, I'm not sure I have enough wherewithal to really understand what's happening in my situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to figure out a way to put this delicately, but they end up making him come off as like mentally handicapped.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's what they're going for. I think they're going for traumatized, which is why when we get the resolution where he finally has a purpose again and he becomes Thomas instead of Jinxo, he's like a much more put together character. He seems calmer, like you would if you had found a way to work through your trauma.
Right.
And we don't really get a clear idea of why Deuce is even after him, because at first I thought it was for drugs, because we know
it's
Dust.
for money.
We know Dust is a thing,
money.
and it's for money. And we only mention it. He's like, didn't I loan you money? And he's like, yeah, sure. You've been terrific. Can't thank you enough. And Deuce is like, great, now it's time for payback. I need you to tell me all the little hidden places around this station where I can continue to conduct business, because they're closing in on me. I'm losing my territory. I need new territory. You helped build this place. You should know the ins and outs better than anybody. And he's like, do you understand the scale of of the construction of this place? Like, it's not like I built the whole thing myself.
Right.
He probably if he worked on a square 10th of a mile, he saw 10% of the station. Wasn't it 5 miles long?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's immense. And clearly they're fine finding places where security is not, because every episode something happens.
There's rooms full of boxes everywhere.
There's rooms. There's just look, open a door. If there's boxes in there and they look a little dusty, you're probably good to go. Jinxo's like, yeah, I don't know any of that. Like, I'm just a construction worker, like the big structural stuff. Like, I put together the support beams.
Right. He doesn't know the rooms, the pathways.
And he's like, and the kind of stuff that you smuggle in here, like, I can't be a part of that. Like, I had a hard moment. I borrowed money from you, but like, I'm not going to kill people. I'm not going to assist you in killing people. And Deuce is like, I mean, that's too bad. And honestly, I made him sound really put together when I just did all those quotes, but it's more like, I can't be a part of that. It's just like, I can't get over. I think this guy could have done a really good job. I don't think it's the actor. I think it's just the lack of, they didn't really have a good
direction.
Direction
to go with the
this
characters.
Character. Yeah. Knowing that this was lightly, if at all, directed makes so much sense. And Deuce is like, okay, well, if you're not going to sell me the information, I guess that means I'm going to have to get it somewhere else. And that means you're just going to have to pay me, because if you're not paying me with information, you got to pay me with money. And you're going to owe me, 100,000 credits? And we don't have a good grasp of anything.
How long is a cycle?
Okay, we don't know how long a cycle is. We don't have a real good perspective on credits because in the episode where Londo was trying to sell that plant to Jakar, he said 50,000 commercial credits.
Yeah.
50,000 commercial credits. And Jakar was outraged, like it was an exorbitant price. And here Deuce is asking for 100,000 credits.
Right.
Which means an ambassador who has access to a lot of capital felt that $50,000 was a lot. He's never going to be able to pay back 100,000 credits.
Right.
So what was the move here? And then he only gives him 300 cycles?
Do you get the message, Jinxo? Good. Now, I'm giving you 300 cycles to either get me the credits you owe or the information I need. 300 cycles, Jinxo. That's all I can afford. Because by then, you'll be hungry again. Won't you, Ambassador Kosh?
Well, wait a minute. Does that mean... Okay. So last episode in TKO, cycles were also hours? Does that mean he only had 3 hours to prepare for the Mutai?
Right. Is a cycle half a day?
Well, then it would still be 150 days.
And so at some point, he tells him it's been 60 cycles.
Yeah.
So if...
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to get there from here. I think in this case, they're hours.
Okay, let's generously say that was a week. Maybe it's
Okay.
10 cycles a day.
Well, that would still give the guy in TKO like a couple of hours, which means he went and trained. He had his training montage for 3 hours, and then he could beat this guy up.
Let's see, if there's 10 cycles in a day,
Okay.
3 cycles would be like 8 hours.
Okay. But that's still 30 days. This episode is not 30 days long. I think he gives him 300 hours, which is the weirdest way to phrase it.
Right.
I don't know. What 300 Okay. I don't think there's any way to parse this out. I don't think that. I think that they were just using it to
I could say I'm leaning towards the 10 cycles per day because that gave TKO episode a day and a half to prepare.
Okay.
Like a full work day to prepare.
Yeah.
And it gives Jinxo 30 days. And that means this episode spans like 5 or 6 days.
Okay.
Where Aldous Geish is on the station interviewing people.
Okay.
And several days pass between sections
All right,
of the episode.
We will settle on that for now until cycles is used again and we get another data point.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the episode where we calculated the airspeed velocity of an unladen vampire in Forever Night. Okay, so if he started here and he went there and he traveled directly in a straight line, it's this many kilometers. Yeah. But Jinxo's like, I can't fucking pay that. Nobody could pay that. And he's like, yes, you can, or I'll fucking kill you. And he's like, will you make it
Not even kill you. I'm going to mind wipe you.
And he's like, I'll show you why. And he like pulls back a curtain. He doesn't, but literally a spotlight goes brong and turns on and it's facing on this lady, Miriam Running Deer. I don't know why they even give her a name. She doesn't. Well, I guess because we need to reference her again later.
Yeah, because Garibaldi needs to recognize her.
Is there a guy on top of a stack of boxes with a flashlight? Is that where the thing? Does he have like operator level control over the lighting and down below?
Oh, no. Deuce is all manual theatrics.
Okay, so there's somebody on top of boxes with a powerful flashlight. Okay, so he boom turns on the light and it's Miriam Running Deer, and he's like, she was going to talk to the ombuds about me. She even agreed to testify today. Uh-oh. Remember, he said he had 300 cycles. Later, when they're in the courtroom at the ombuds, when they come up and talk to him, they're like, it's been 70 cycles already. Or you've only got 270 cycles left.
That was when. Oh, you're right.
And they go immediately.
Right, 'cause it's the same day.
They go immediately to the courtroom from the docking area because he's like, you need to come with me right now. You're a material witness. So they go straight to the courtroom because he steals his money. He steals Aldis's money. Jinxo steals Aldis's money. They catch him and they're like, we're going to court right now. And they walk to court. And as soon as they get there, they actually bump the Deuce thing down the docket because he appears in court before Deuce does.
Okay, what if there's a day between Deuce telling Jinxo, you owe me 100,000 credits, and Jinxo takes Aldis's money the next time Aldis is in line at the credit machine?
But no, because Aldis gets off and he's like, I need to exchange credits. Can you show me where?
But for the sake of chronological consistency,
okay,
is there wiggle room to say, maybe this isn't Aldis's first visit to the credit machine?
No, there isn't, because Garibaldi is standing right there with him. That's how he catches him.
It could be the next day.
Okay. It could be. There is a world where it's possible that was the next day, I guess. We're coming back to this, though. But the most important thing that happens here is Miriam Running Deer is the sacrificial lamb to show us that Deuce has somehow imported this incredibly dangerous beast that was quarantined in the Centauri sector for
until recently,
since their colonizing days.
But isn't anymore.
But because of budget cuts, which we find out later. But it literally, a tentacle appears out of like a Kosh encounter suit. So first of all, this Kosh encounter suit looks really authentic. It is because they just took the Kosh suit and used it. But I think that there's okay, who made that? Who made that?
Right.
If I were Kosh, I would be not terrified, at least concerned that there is someone on Babylon 5 who is capable of crafting a nearly identical suit to my own. And in the original script, Kosh kills Deuce at the end.
Yeah.
He doesn't in this, but in the original script, he did. And then they were like, that's kind of exactly the same way that Deathwalker ends. So maybe we don't do that.
Right.
But it almost worked. I would have been okay if they did, because it works better if Kosh is like, no, I can't allow that. Did Deuce make it? Is it paper mache? How did they make a nearly identical I have so many questions for this episode. And he made a little...
He bought it on Etsy. Right, it moves in the same way.
Did somebody cosplay as Kosh? And he was like, wow, that's a really great Kosh outfit. Can I buy it? And he was like, hell yeah. Thanks. I'm so glad you appreciate my cosplay. And he's like,
or hey, you owe me some money. What's that? What's that in your closet over there? Oh, it's a very accurate replica of.
Sometimes my wife and I play Vorlons.
It's like, I'll take that as payment.
Yeah,
I could see that happening.
And they add a little bit of some trash. They like stack a wadded piece of netting on its shoulder or whatever to be like, look, it's not like the Kosh suit. It's like, it's a prop. And you're like, okay, really? Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, whatever. But it like opens and this like tentacle floats out.
All right.
And then
I want to clarify. There's a difference between arms and tentacles in cephalopods.
Okay.
This is a tentacle.
Yes.
Because it has suckers mostly distributed, mostly concentrated at the end of the limb, whereas an arm has suckers evenly distributed along its entire length.
Okay.
So, like an octopus with all of its suckers,
it has arms.
It has 8 arms.
But a squid has tentacles.
A squid has tentacles and arms.
Okay. Thank you for that.
So this is a tentacle.
It is a tentacle.
Just to be clear.
This tentacle got reused on Buffy because they hired the same company to do both.
Nice.
They were like, why waste a good tentacle? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So this is a tentacle. If it looks familiar, maybe you've seen it before. But it like, woo, and it goes, like suckers to her forehead. And then she's like, ah!
Ow.
And it sucks her brain energy out through her forehead.
Yeah.
Now, I read the Dritz de Erden books, his origin story.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty graphic description of
A mind flayer.
mind flayer and like their tentacles going up somebody's nose and like sucking
Actually
their
into
brain.
your brain, yeah.
Yeah. That was terrifying. This was like, how did that work?
So I have a theory about what was it Knockoline?
The Knockoline
The
feeder.
Knockoline feeder
Yeah.
does. The Knockoline feeder is not eating the brain.
No, it's not.
It is consuming the complexity of the brain in a scanning of the brain
Yeah.
and like recording all of the complexity of the interconnectedness of the brain in a destructive way. And it uses that complexity to then make itself more intelligent.
I don't know that it's making itself. It's literally just eating it. And then later it's like, I want older minds more complicated. Like I want someone with a little bit more going on up top, I
Right.
guess. Because I'm not getting, it's like the joke. I don't know. Your brother maybe never did it to you, but my brother used to do it. The like, this thing is, what is this on your head?
Yeah.
It's a brain slug or whatever. What's it doing? Starving. Yeah, that one. That's kind of what it felt like, where it's like it's eating their memories, because when we catch up with Miriam Running Deer again, they found her and she's in med bay, and the doctor insinuates that she's alive, like everything got eaten but like her autonomic functions. So like her heart's still beating, she's still breathing. And they're like, we can probably bring her back, but we'll have to retrain her on everything because she's lost the entirety of her life experience.
Right.
Ooh, you know what it reminds me of? The Orson Scott Card series, The Worthing Saga, where when you go to sleep, they put you in a bubble. They put you in a bubble, your whole mind. And so your body is asleep and your mind is stored separately. And so he goes on this long journey and something happens and it destroys the place where everybody's mind is, but it doesn't destroy anybody's body. So he has to wake them up one by one and like reteach them how to use the bathroom and talk and walk and everything, the entirety of their life experience.
Yeah.
And then like he'll wake two people up because now that person can train them and he can train them.
Yeah.
And that's how he wakes everybody up, and he ends up becoming God of this little planet, but it's fine. It's the Worthing Saga was good but weird. So that's the one where he's a little bit psychic, and he creates like a psychic world with like all of his descendants.
He creates this like commune and incentivizes like genetic selection for psychic ability.
Yeah, and then he goes back to sleep, and when he wakes up, he's like, he barely has any ability compared to what they have.
Right.
Anyway, another good book recommendation. I should write these down because we end up recommending like 4 books or movies throughout most episodes. Anyway, that's the end of that's the end of the cold open, is Miriam Running Deer's life energy, mind energy, memories being sucked out through her forehead by a tentacle. And then they're like, Jinxo, you've got 300 cycles to get me the credits you owe me or the information I need, which is why the credits are out of reach, because he's like, get me information instead. Because by then, he'll be hungry again. Won't you, Ambassador Kosh? Bum, bum, bum. And nothing like exploiting ignorance to mystery creates a vacuum.
Yep.
When we come back, we're in the courtroom. And this is when it's the guy who's like, a few days later, my great-grandfather came back into town and said he'd been taken away by aliens. And so they look over and it's like a gray, kind of like a gray. And he's like, how do you plead? And he just holds up like a crop circle.
And,
It's like, can
and
we
plays
get a
some musical
translator in
tones.
here,
Yeah.
please? They're like, everybody
That's
figured out.
good.
He's like, I want damages. Frankly, Your Honor.
the how do you plead? And holds up this picture. Can we get a translator in here? That bit, I think, is the best part of this whole
part
episode.
of the whole fucking
Yeah.
episode. Yes, it is. And also that it's his great grandfather Amos.
Yeah.
Because what's our son's name? Anyway, he goes, how do you plead? He does the little thing. And he's like, how come Ombudsman Zimmerman never gets these cases? Only me. Why is it always me? And this is funny. I wish Andreas Katsoulas was in this episode because he's in this movie called Communion, which if you've ever seen The Hunger, that's based on a book written by this guy named Whitley Strieber.
Mhm.
And Whitley believed he had
Been visited
by aliens.
was
And so
selected, the chosen one.
he wrote a book and made a movie, which is worth it to watch just for the what the actual fuck is happening of it. It's free. It's on Tubi. It's called Communion, but Andreas is in it. He's his Czechoslovakian friend. I think he's from the former Czech Republic.
Yeah.
And he's in it. And I always forget that Jakar's nose is just Andreas's nose until I see him in something else. And I'm like, oh, right. Yeah. That's just what his nose looks
Yeah.
like. Anyway, that would have been a really funny circle back around to
Mhm.
because it's basically the plot of Communion is this guy gets kidnapped and anally probed and then has to deal with the trauma of that.
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Getting
Yes.
anally probed.
Yes. Yeah. Christopher Walken and the lady who plays the military leader of the secret base that's underneath the college in Buffy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And then we go back because remember they were going to go meet somebody coming off of the transport Von Braun.
Yeah.
Well, it's this guy. And
Here we go.
We're there now because Lanier's like, oh my God, that's him. Because they're watching people come off. And Sinclair's like, oh, you've met him before? And he's like, no, but he has the look. And this is the part about this episode, besides the best little skit that I really liked. And it was the idea that the Minbari honor the seeking of something for the act itself.
Yes. Yeah, this is a good culture building episode.
That they honor the idea of dedicating your life to something, and the honor of doing that is separate from the success that you get in doing it. So
Right.
the seeking of the Grail is what they honor. Not
Right.
And she's like, it doesn't matter if the Grail is real. It doesn't matter if he ever finds it. It matters that he has dedicated himself to doing this because he believes it will make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
And so we honor him for doing that, even though the chances of his success are very low. And they're so honored. They are so enamored with the idea of this true seeker that they actually help him. They're like, we've sent word all to everywhere. If any Minbari in the universe sees the Grail, we'll let you know. It's so cute. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Londo tries to profit off of him. We don't know what Jakar says because we don't see him talk to Jakar. And he can't go talk to Kosh because Jinxo ends up freaking out. So they're the only ones we actually see him talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And they are like, oh my God, we're so glad that you're doing this. Like,
And it's
what can we do to support you?
like it's a privilege to help you on your journey.
Yeah, and I love that attitude so much. As someone who grew up in something of a support vacuum, I don't know if you noticed from the fact that I didn't believe anyone wanted us to apply for an award. I was like, what's your angle? What do you want from me? What are you trying to get from me? So to have this idea that the Minbari will honor literally any
True seeker.
sincere effort,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of success, is fascinating. I did enjoy that. And they are so excited to meet this guy. And as soon as Sinclair's like, okay, so who are you? Why are we happy
What is
that
your
you're
mission?
here?
Oh, yeah, because He said, sorry, Sinclair, I didn't tell you about my visit because my mission didn't concern like any information you might
he's
have.
Like, I just wanted to do my thing. Like, and he probably didn't want to hear the, you're on the hunt for the Grail. Oh.
Right.
Okay. Best of luck, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's met with a lot of, let's just say the human culture doesn't have the same amount of reverence as the Minbari culture. So he's probably used to being utterly ignored.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Sinclair does pretty much as soon as he's like, oh, my trip wasn't Earth related. That's why I didn't tell you. And he's like, I just sent information to the ambassadors.
About my mission.
And he's like, okay, well, what is that? And he's like, oh, I'm seeking the sacred vessel of regeneration. Sometimes they call it the cup of the goddess, or by its more common name, the Holy Grail.
I'm afraid I wasn't notified that you were coming, or why.
That's entirely my fault, Commander. Since my business isn't Earth-related, I didn't think to inform you. I sent information packets ahead to the ambassadors to facilitate my mission when I arrived.
Which is?
I am seeking the sacred vessel of regeneration, known also as the Cup of the Goddess, or by its more common name, the Holy Grail.
Sinclair's like, oh, the Holy Grail. Oh, okay. And
like
then
King Arthur.
Mentally, Sinclair out. It's like,
and even Garibaldi, eye roll.
I could have been eating my lunch. I really could have been eating my lunch. And here I am.
Can't believe
he's like, oh, as in
skipped breakfast for this.
Like King Arthur? Like the Last Supper? Like the Holy Grail? Do you have coconuts? Where's the guy with the coconuts? Like, it has many names, yeah. But it only has one promise, the regeneration and salvation of humankind. And he's like, yeah, my order, which we never get a name for. He's got a little symbol. So I don't know if we're supposed to know what that means. But he's like, this is my order. We've searched for millennia. And we've pretty much looked all over Earth. Like, there's not a whole lot more, unless it's moving, I guess. There's no other place to look. And he's like, oh, okay. So that's why you're here. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get help from the ambassadors because maybe it's not on Earth anymore. Maybe it left. Hey, it's fine. And he's like, oh, I really only want knowledge. Like, I'm not here for military assistance or anything like that. And he's like, I have all my funds at I'm fine. I don't need money. I'm just here to ask questions because I have money and you can check if you want to. Mm-hmm. And Sinclair's like, no, that's okay. It's fine. No,
you do you.
You're good. And Delen's like, I am so looking forward to meeting you.
At the appointed time.
Honored seeker. And he's like, yeah, great. So actually, I need to exchange some credits. Do you know where the credit machine is? And Sinclair's like, I'll have Garibaldi show you where it is. Mr. Garibaldi, can you show him to an exchange machine? And this is when Mr. Garibaldi goes, Mr. Garibaldi would be delighted. This way. Because it's like, great, really? They got dressed up.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They're in their formal uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
And Delen is like, hold on a minute. I'm really puzzled by your reaction to Mr. Gaish.
That's how she pronounces it.
Aldous. Do you?
And since it's Mira Furlan's husband's last name, I'm gonna go with Delen's pronunciation.
Yeah,
which is like Gaish.
Gaish. Yeah, he's like, yeah. So the Grail on Earth is just a myth. Like, it's a kid's story. It's not a thing.
Joke.
It's not a thing.
It's a fucking embarrassment.
I don't. It's like honestly, it's a little cringe that he's still looking for it.
On Earth, the Grail is nothing but a myth. It's a nice story to tell your kids. For someone who spent his entire life looking for it is, well, it's not often taken very seriously.
How sad. He is a holy man, a true seeker. Among my people, a true seeker is treated with the utmost reverence and respect. It doesn't matter that his grail may or may not exist. What matters is that he strives for the perfection of his soul and the salvation of his race, and that he has never wavered or lost faith.
I wish him luck. He's probably the only true seeker we have.
Then perhaps you do not know yourself as well as you think.
And Delenn is like, I do not believe in your cringe. Thank you, Delenn. I'm with you. She goes, how sad. He is a holy man, a true seeker. So all that matters is he is living his truest self, that he is being sincere.
Right. He's
and
completely
honest.
committed to his ideals, his goal.
And that cannot be cringe.
Right. That's the opposite of cringe, Sinclair.
And if there is a takeaway from this episode, it is that when you are doing a thing sincerely because you love it, and
even if other people feel like it's cringy.
Yeah, not for
They're wrong.
For anyone else.
Right.
For you. When you are personally dedicated to living your best life and truly seeking your highest gols, whatever those
your
may be.
highest self.
That if your self is one of your goals.
I heard somebody refer to it as the sacred second self, as your like higher kind of ideal version.
Yeah, of just like anything. If you're the type of person who wants to find the Grail, if you're the type of person who wants to watch every Star Trek episode, if you're the whatever, if you are truly and honestly pursuing that because it is the thing that you feel most compelled to do, it should not and cannot be cringe, because that should be honored.
Right. Cringiness of that is a symptom of a sick culture.
That's on the other person.
Yeah.
If you, in this moment, Aldous could give less of it. He knows as soon as Sinclair's like, well, checked out. Okay, great. Well, you have a great day, sir. He knows immediately. He's like, okay, another one bites the dust. Whatever, it's fine. He doesn't care because he's not doing it for Sinclair. He's not doing it for Garibaldi. He's doing it because he believes it's the right thing to do and because he can't imagine himself doing anything else.
Right. The world is a dimmer place if he does not do it.
Right. And so he is a completely self-contained, self-assured character, which is what the Minbari are honoring, is this person committed to a thing. And I think there's a lot to be taken away from that. Although I do like when Sinclair's like, well, I wish him luck. I guess he's probably like the only seeker that we have left. And she's like, wow, you don't really know yourself all that well, do you? And he's like,
throwing shade.
And then he gets a call. I know. Delenn's like, okay, well, maybe you should look in the mirror
Here's
sometimes.
kind of a backhanded compliment. It might take you a minute to get it.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're a little bit of a seeker yourself, sir. And he's like, okay, beep boop, Sinclair, yes? come to MedLab right away. We have another brain wipe victim. And this is when we find Jinxo again. Because Jinxo tries to steal Aldis's money. He like really graphically bumps into him. He like leans against him for like 5 minutes, roots around in his pocket.
Yeah.
He's like the worst pickpocket of all time.
Yeah. He's a construction worker.
It's fine. And then he walks away and Garibaldi's like, are you fucking kidding me? Again, Jinxo?
Maybe he walks like this because he's so acclimated to 0G.
I don't know. He's got this jacket. They could have taken this jacket away from the actor, been like, you know what, man, I just don't think this jacket's working out for you. Got to stop wrapping it around yourself. It's not a security blanket. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I needed the money. And Garibaldi's like, yeah, same old story. And this is when he calls Aldous over and he's like, we got to go right now. We're going to go settle this with the ombuds. And he's like, honestly, I'd rather not. Like, I'm good. It's just cash. I got my credit card back. Whatever. I don't actually care. And he's like, no, you have to come right now. You're a witness. He could have been like, I'm not pressing charges.
Right.
But Garibaldi doesn't give him that option. He's like, it's fine. It won't take long.
Right. He could have pulled a Jean Valjean with the priest and say, oh no, I gave it to him.
Yeah.
I gave him that silver.
Yep.
Card.
Yeah. Silver card. And this is when we go to MedLab and Stephen Franklin is like, so she was found in Down Below, just like
it's been
the
a
others.
while since we've seen Stephen.
Yeah, well, he's been in the doghouse. He should have been.
Yeah.
He should have been.
Yeah.
After he
Excuse me, Dr. Franklin. Have you learned your lesson?
Well, we saw him.
Have you adjusted your worldview?
I'm trying to think. Was the episode where he was poking that guy with all the? Remember that guy with the burns,
with
and he
the
was
kid?
like, "Was the kid? The kid was before that."
Okay.
And then last time we saw him, I think, was in the episode where he was like, "This guy's not going to live, so I'm going to go ahead and just poke him in all of these open sores." Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
But he said it's the same highly selective pattern. So whatever happened has happened before, and he recognizes the pattern. He's like, there's a total absence of any normal brainwave activity. It fused her synapses, which makes sense for what you were saying, which is like remove
the destructive
complexity.
scanning.
Yeah. And he's like, no machine could do that. I mean, I don't know, but maybe the tentacle-shaped mark on her forehead could have been a hint.
So I think the tentacle mark on her forehead was there in the scene with Deuce.
It's in there. It's on there in this too.
I looked for it. I didn't see it.
Oh, I saw it.
It was a lot. Maybe it was just less obvious.
She's like laying down and part of her bangs are over, but you can still see it. I don't know.
See it.
He's like, we can save her, but we're going to have to retrain her from infancy to adulthood. And this is when Garibaldi shows up. And just really speaks from his 90s cop heart, to be honest. Because he's like, another lurker had their brain mulched. Make me a happy man. Let me clean out down below.
He's the chief of security on the station.
Yeah.
Why does he not have the authority to do that?
Well, literally to like clean it out, like go out and evict everyone who is down there. He doesn't have the authority because then where do they go?
Yeah, I think it's because he wants to just round everybody up and kick them out rather than just enable a healthy society down there.
Yeah, finding a solution where we provide these people.
Crime prevention is social safety nets.
Yeah.
Social services are crime prevention.
Correct.
So, okay, let's get these people like assured housing, food, and then maybe help them get a job.
At least a temporary position.
Or help getting to a home.
Yeah. Or you could have people come and, like, Jinxo is a highly skilled construction worker. Why would you not have, like, a community or a, like, group of people that find jobs for people like him and then get that job to pay for transport off of Babylon 5?
Right. In his case, he doesn't want to leave Babylon 5. I bet they need skilled construction workers just on the maintenance team.
Yeah. How about unskilled workers? People to clean. Jinxo says, I'll clean methane toilets. I don't care. So there are unskilled positions available on Babylon 5. Do they all have to be held by military? Or can we not hire some of these people?
Right.
Or are there not construction projects or unskilled labor positions anywhere else within a jump? You couldn't sponsor a shuttle to take these people to a place where they have employment? Right. There's so many options besides, let me go round them all up.
Right.
He goes, I could wipe out 9/10 of the crime rate. And Sinclair goes, most of them are just here looking for a new life or a new job. And when they don't find it, they don't have the money to go back. I'm not going to let you arrest people who are just poor.
Right.
He goes, what are you going to do, Garibaldi? Shove them all out an airlock? And Garibaldi goes, don't tempt me.
Oof.
It's not a great
Garibaldi.
look. That didn't age that great. It's not. Especially in the age of America where we have just criminalized homelessness. So literally you can now arrest people for just being poor.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, whatever. We'll table this for now. Who's the victim? And when they tell him it's Miriam Running Deer, he's like, God damn it. She ran that shop in Red 26 and she was the only one with the guts to testify against Deuce. So he's going to walk because she's reduced to a rutabaga. This woman who apparently ran a shop, whose entire life is now gone. Yeah. Everything about her is gone.
Right.
And you're like, great, now she can't fucking testify. This whole moment is not a great Garibaldi moment.
Yeah.
This is him at his most, like, 90s era.
Maybe okay, let's see. Can we give Garibaldi some grace here?
No.
How about this? His blood sugar's really low because he didn't get to finish his breakfast.
Okay.
And he had to get all dressed up, and then he felt really cringy about the guy he had to get dressed up for. And then immediately after that, he arrested this guy for trying to steal Aldis's money.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he finds out that his witness for his trial that is in like an hour is gone. And the guy he's been trying to take down is going to go free. He's just in his feels, right? And yes, his default positions that he goes to when he's in his feels are not good positions. but maybe if he had a little blood sugar boost, he would have enough.
He wouldn't want to round out
be a
all
little
the
more
poor
compassionate
people and line them up against a wall.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. He's like, well, this is no coincidence. Now can I take the place apart? I mean, hangry or not, this is not a good look.
Right.
Luckily, he has Sinclair there to be like, absolutely not. We cannot murder people simply because they are less fortunate. Like, just because circumstances had led them to a place where they are trapped. Maybe we improve their habitat, not remove them from it.
Right.
Okay. He goes, why don't you give the ombuds the bad news? I'll consider down below later. Sinclair's like, we'll table this. Like, we're going to come up with a solution for down below, but it's not going to be your solution. And they're like, we really just need to know if these brain wipes are tied to Deuce, which I feel like is a gimme, right? This feels like when they were like, how are the Raiders getting there so fast? If everyone related to Deuce keeps getting their mind wipe, I feel like it's not a big leap to say it's related to him in some way. And Dr. Franklin's like, and if it is? And Sinclair goes, well, then we can hurt him. Then we make him feel pain. Okay, it's fine. First, we have to make sure he's guilty, and then we can Sinclair smash him.
Oh, due process?
No. Yeah.
Deuce is insured due process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, weird. Almost as if people should be guilty.
That's a fundamental right.
Almost as if you should be proven guilty before you're punished. I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. Not
before you're shoved out an airlock.
Yeah. And then we find out that Jinxo's real name is Thomas Jordan, because now we're back at the ombuds. And he's like, this is your third arrest for petty, not to mention incompetent thievery. It's like, well, I'm a better construction worker than I am a pickpocket, turns out. And we find out that he has a history of as a not zero gravity constructor on all the Babylon stations.
Mm-hmm.
Babylon wasn't Babylon 1, it was just Babylon. He's like, we weren't naming them yet.
I think somebody said, what about World War I?
That was on Severance. We were watching Severance.
Oh, yeah. I heard people called it the Great War. Oh,
they
didn't number it.
Yeah, he said it would have been considered a faux pas to call it World War I. He was like, yeah, because there wasn't a Second World War yet. Which I said while we were watching it. I was like, they didn't call it World War I during World War I because there was no World War II. You don't number it till there's more than one of them.
Right.
But the ombuds actually makes a good decision. Like, this is a good moment because he's like, I'm not gonna like prosecute you here or whatever.
Right. You don't have to serve any time. You just GTFO.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to kick you off the station and I'm going to bar you from coming back for at least a year. And I'm going to pay your fare.
5 years.
Oh, yeah. 5 years. Period of 5 years. You're right. He's like, I'm going to pay your fare and I'm going to send you off so you can go get a job. Okay. That's what I'm going to do, which is, a really good solution, actually. And Jinx was like, oh, no, you can't do that. I got to stay here. Put me in jail. Let me clean methane toilets, but I got to stay. Or it's the end of this station, just like all the others. And this is when Aldis walks up and he's like, hey, ombuds, can I have a word? And so he whispers with him for a bit. And he's like, okay, so I may have temporarily taken leave of my sanity, but I'm going to let you go with the guy who's seeking the Grail. It's going to be fine.
I feel like the ombudsman doesn't know about the whole
he's probably
Grail
like
seeker thing.
I'll just
but
give him to me.
here's a seemingly reputable person who's speaking with some authority.
Considering what he had to work with, the guy playing Aldous is a pretty cool character.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of moments where you're like, okay, this is what happens when somebody just really sits with things and thinks about them and tries to think of them from, like, come at them from around corners. Like, think of it from a different perspective. When someone has a really good grasp of, like, really listening and internalizing and then responding.
He's always kind of open to opportunities for him to act in the world.
Yeah.
Without looking for a specific outcome. And he sees this guy obviously like passionate about something, this ideal that he's trying to uphold, save the station. And he's committed to it. And he's like expressing that extremely emotionally.
He's given up his life to try to save
to protect the station.
Yeah.
And Aldous recognizes something inside that.
Yeah. Which is what happens when you don't judge people based on like the outcome. You're not like, that's crazy talk. You're not the one who destroyed all the other stations. The fact, it's just coincidence, whatever. If you dismiss him immediately like that, you lose what Aldous sees, which is like, here's
the things that Aldous sees makes him a really cool character. And the way that actor played it so well, kudos.
That's why the through line of that, like, the quest itself is honorable and is worthy of honor, is the coolest through line. Yeah, is worthy of being respected and revered and given due credit. Like, that's why that's the best through line in this whole episode. Mm-hmm. But this is when Jinxo walks, like, he bumps into Deuce, and Deuce is like 240 cycles left.
Jinxo, 240 cycles left.
So it's been 60
cycles. It feels like the same day.
We lose Jinxo and then we catch back up with Jinxo. Well, they find Miriam Running Deer and they're like, luckily we found her soon enough. Like, it just happened.
Right. It just happened. Her trial was that same day.
Yeah.
So maybe they found her the next day.
Well, no, because he says she's supposed to testify against me today. That's what Jinxo says at the very beginning. Not Jinxo, but Deuce. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm getting their Jolly Pirate nicknames all mixed up. So it can't even have been 60 hours because it's the same day. So is that 300 minutes now? Was there 3 minutes between the... It's fine. Maybe he's just making shit up. He's like 240 cycles left.
Maybe cycles mean different things to different people.
Okay, but then they need to qualify that.
Maybe the cycles that the Mutado referenced are different cycles than Deuce referenced.
Sure. It's fine. Whatever. But Deuce is really...
I tried looking it up on the Babylon 5 wiki.
No.
I couldn't find a definition of a cycle.
Right, because there is none.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading a review on IMDb because sometimes I like to see what other people have said about it. And they mentioned that this is like in the lull in season 1. Like, there's a quality lull in the middle of season 1. And I'm like, I can kind of see it. It didn't know where it was going. They had a lot of guest writers. I'm not necessarily sure that besides the like key points they were supposed to include, how much real oversight the scripts had or were capable of having. Because sometimes they're like, I don't know, it's a throwaway sci-fi show. Just
you know what this reminds me
are.
of? When we were reading all the Cosmere books.
Yeah.
And I read a thing from, I think I was just reading on Brandon Sanderson's page. He had some kind of essay things, like answers to FAQs that he'd written long things about. But he referenced that there are people that work for his company. Dragonsteel is the company around all of his book publishing stuff. And he referenced that there are people, I think one full-time person and then a couple other people do it part-time on just maintaining the lore. So they have a whole knowledge base of all the lore from all the Cosmere books. And anything that he writes goes through review of his like lore experts.
Yeah.
And I feel like nowadays the high production TV shows also have that. And that's something Babylon 5 could have used, is one person on set, like one of the producers or something. Like they are the lore expert and they review everything and say, oh, wait, sorry, we actually have a definition for a cycle. He said 300 cycles. You should have actually said like
3 cycles or 2 cycles or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. They didn't have them because it didn't matter.
Right.
It's like on Forever Night, how the vampire mythology changes every 5 fucking seconds. It's
Right.
fine. It didn't matter because it didn't matter because no one cared.
Right.
You would care now. We care now clearly because we've devoted a lot of time in this episode to what a
We're
cycle
already
is.
over an hour in.
But we find out Deuce's real name, which is Desmond Moishenko.
Desmond Deuce. Okay. That's a good nickname
so he's
for Desmond.
Deuce, although Matt goes, season 1, episode 15, Garibaldi tries to drop a deuce.
Yeah.
Oh, sometimes we are really just dad joke permeated. Can I
Yeah.
make this into a poop joke? Probably. And this is when he's like, how do you plead not guilty? And then they're like, okay, is Miriam Running Deer here? Is she going to testify? And they're like, no, she's been brainwiped. Garibaldi goes, she's in med lab. She's just been brainwiped. And Ombuds is like, I'm sorry, is there any other evidence? Because otherwise I deeply regret this, but I really can't proceed without a witness. Because they're accusing him of extortion. Could they not accuse him of assault? I feel like if everyone related to his case has been brainwiped,
Right.
there is reasonable doubt that he is related to the brainwiping. So I feel like you
Okay,
could
thinking
arrest
about
him
this,
on suspicion of
Based on my
brainwiping.
limited knowledge of of the current American legal system, this feels like a civil claims court, not a criminal claims court.
Yeah.
And extortion, I guess extortion is criminal.
Yeah.
But the initial case of his grandfather abducted my grandfather and I want damages
Yeah.
feels like a civil claim.
That's why I was talking
And so
earlier
they're-
about I
they're
don't
handled
really
differently.
know what this guy. I think he's just like the do-all judge.
Happy to
guy.
read any feedback from you, Meg, on on your evaluation of this legal system.
If you don't know who Meg is, she is another host on the Strange and Beautiful Network on Gare Can Get It, and
Friend of the pod.
and friend of the pod, and a lawyer not yours. So anyway, we move on to Aldous. We have to move on. There's no good explanation of this. It's just like a frontier justice. I don't know. This guy hears cases. Who gives a shit? And this is when Jinxo / Thomas is talking to Aldous, and he's like, oh, why did you help me? I don't know who you are. You have no reason. What do you want? What's your angle? And he's like, just that my brother's burdens are my own. He's like, well, okay, but I'm not leaving this station because if I do, it's going to blow up or disappear or something awful.
And instead of dismissing Jinxo, he's like, oh, say more.
Yeah. He's like, I understand obsession. I get it. I've spent my whole life searching for something that nobody believes in, and I'll keep searching for it until I die. This is when Jinxo's like, well, I mean, you're a really nice guy, but I got to warn you, in 200 cycles, Deuce will send his hoogs for me. I don't know what a hoog is. His
Hooligan?
hooligans?
I don't know.
I want hoogs to be short for hooligans. He's like, when that happens, you need to just get off this station. Just get off. He's like, okay, well, when that pops up, we'll deal with it. But in the meantime, how did you get this curse? And this is when he explains that, like, I am the curse. I was working on the Babylon station. I took leave and it crumpled. It was sabotaged. And then the same thing happened the next time and the next time. So when they were going to make Babylon 4, I decided I had to work on it and that I was not going to take any leave at all. So I stayed the whole time. I built the whole station.
It was finished.
And then as we got on the shuttle to leave, I turned around and it fucking disappeared, man.
All right. This scene, I feel like the Jinxo actor, like he sells it.
Yeah. Can you imagine? You just imagine from his perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
He's working on Babylon, the first one, and it's sabotaged. And then the second one also sinks into the swamp. And then the third one also sinks into the swamp. Okay. And then the fourth one, he's like, okay,
as soon as I left,
I got it. It's done.
If I leave, this thing's going to sink in the swamp.
So I'm going to stay. And he's like, it's done. Thank God I made it all the way through. It was not sabotaged. It was built.
It became fully operational.
It's fine. And so he gets on the shuttle, and as he's leaving, he turns around and it just goes,
whoop, whoop,
it goes whoop, and just dis-a-fucking-peers. And he's like, oh my God, you too would believe you were cursed. Okay.
Yeah.
If you watched and Babylon 4 is bigger than Babylon 5.
Yeah.
So if you watched the biggest of the Babylon stations just fucking up and disappear the minute you left, you'd be like, it's me. It's me.
Yeah.
It's definitely me. And so then he works on Babylon 5 and he's like, but this time I literally can't leave. I completely believe that this guy would think he is cursed.
Oh, yeah.
It would be another thing if Babylon 4 was blown up again. He'd be like, oh my God, they need to stop building these. But this one, literally, he says it wrinkled and then it twisted like putty and then it totally disappeared.
Yeah.
And this is when Aldous is like, have you considered that maybe you are not the cursed, you are just extremely lucky to have gotten off each time?
I'd say that you have the wrong nickname. They should have called you Lucky.
How do you figure?
To have escaped the worst each time, that's a blessing. You're a very lucky man. Perhaps each time you were exactly where you were meant to be.
I never thought of it like that.
We never do.
It's like that cat, the unsinkable Sam.
Yeah.
The cat that was on like 3 battleships that sank and it kept surviving and then getting put on another ship. He's like, perhaps you were exactly where you were meant to be. And Thomas is like, wow, I literally never thought of it from that direction before. Huh. And Aldous goes, yeah, we never do. That's a good moment. This was a good little scene. And then we come back because Garibaldi is like, let me post security in down below. Let me just put people down there. And he goes, you can't post security men everywhere. And this is when we were watching it and I go, what if we had these things that could see, but they were not eyes, and they could be mobile, or you could like put them up places and they would like watch an area and then you could go back later and see what they saw. And we can call them cameras. We could just put up some security cameras. There's things that have not aged well for Babylon 5, but probably the utter lack of security cameras is the most.
It's the biggest tech oversight.
Yeah.
Especially since they have a drone. Is it in the movie?
No, they have
or
used it.
episode 1?
They have used it.
Yeah.
In season 1. When they're being interviewed for TV, they have little camera drones.
Maybe the military is prohibited from using them.
No, they use it in that episode where he goes down to confront the guy in the changeling net.
Oh, yeah. So there's no real...
There's no. Except
in-universe justification.
Except, wow, it's emblematic of the fact that we have really become accustomed to living in a surveillance state.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 90s... it wouldn't even have occurred to you.
Right.
And in fact, the idea of having cameras everywhere would have been horrifying. You mean I'm being watched all the time? That's awful. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like when we were young and the internet came out and we had to do those things where they were like, don't tell people your name, don't tell people where you live, don't tell people your... And now they're like, hey, can you give me your name and address so you can sign up for this random service that you're never, ever going to use again?
Or don't get into cars with strangers. Versus the stranger is coming to me so I can get in their car.
Yes, exactly. And he's like, can I please do it just to catch dues? Can I please, I just need one more witness. And I got about as much chance of getting a witness now that Miriam Running Deer's mind wiped as I do seeing a Vorlon do a striptease. I feel like they didn't have a good grasp on how Garibaldi was supposed to talk.
Right.
You can tell when like a writer who does a lot of episodes is writing him, and you can tell when someone's like, oh, he's the
stereotypical cop.
He's like the cop with weird, like he says things, like he makes weird, I don't know how to phrase this, but it's like the guy that's always coming up with weird anecdotes. Like, I got about as much chance of doing that as I do seeing a Vorlon do a striptease,
Yeah.
Or the whatever. He's just supposed to be pithy, I guess, or like he has a very odd way of speaking when he's not being written by like staff writers. It's weird. I don't really know how to describe that, except that the kids were really enjoying watching this with us. So we moved on to the next episode and watched Eyes. And there's a part in there where he's like, who's running this? Abbott and Costello? Like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. Eventually we're going to we're going to get a hold on. I know I keep saying eventually, but that's why I tell people you got to get through season 1, because season 1's fine, but it's going to get so much better. He's like, we got to have a way to explain the brain wipe victims. And this is when Susan and Stephen Franklin pop in and they're like, we have a way to explain the brain wipe victims.
Hey, right on time.
He's like, so I knew it had to be something organic, okay, because I've tried mind wiping people with machines before and it didn't work. I mean,
sorry, I misspoke there.
I mean,
Ignore
a friend
that.
of mine, this guy that I know,
a former acquaintance who I no longer talk to because of the inhumane things that he did. Okay, but
I know a guy.
I have secondhand experience of this stuff.
And it just didn't look like any of the times that my friend tried to. He's like, it had to be something organic. So I just Googled creatures that can mind wipe. And they were like, hey, how about this one? And I think it might be this one, you guys. It turned up the Nakaline feeder, who's found in the Centauri sector, although there's no visual record. But the description of the brain wipe is really close. And I think maybe one got smuggled aboard. Okay. Guns getting smuggled aboard. Okay. Knives getting smuggled aboard. Fine. This is not a small creature.
Maybe it was small when it was first brought on board.
I guess in the original script, it was supposed to look kind of like a jellyfish and it floated in the air. And I guess I can kind of see, but this is like it fits in the Kosh countersuit. It's like 7 feet tall. This is a big fucking thing.
It looks like the tentacruel Pokemon.
Oh my God. You are so right. That's what it reminded me of. It needed to be blue and red and be like, tentacruel.
There's another forest dwelling version called Toadscruel.
Thank you. And they're like, I wonder how much Londo knows about this since that sector is in his jurisdiction. Why? Because he's Centauri. I literally, because we use sector so interchangeably, I thought they meant the section of Babylon 5 that is primarily occupied by Centauri.
They do use the term sector for locations on Babylon 5 and for locations in space.
Well, I thought they meant on Babylon 5.
Right.
So I thought they meant that somebody on Babylon 5 had a
like
Nakaline
they had one
feeder.
like a zoo?
Yeah, and that maybe Londo knows about it. And I was like, oh, so it's just like it was already on the station. But no, they mean like there's a planet in Centauri space
Right.
that was under quarantine, and it has these things on there. And they're like, well, do we know where Londo is? And Garibaldi just goes, where else? And then we cut to the casino. And Londo's
He's at his primary vocation.
His third place. And he's like, stinking 17, because he's rolling dice. And this is when they pop in and he's like, Sinclair, can I get you a drink perhaps? Because he's just lost all of his money. And he's like, I need information on a life form in Centauri jurisdiction, a Nakaline feeder. And Londo's like, hideous creatures. We found them in our colonizing days, and they wiped out an entire colony before we put up a quarantine. The only good Nakaleen is a dead Nakaleen, is what he says.
Yep.
He's like, of course, this is a purely theoretical question. You're not asking me because this is like a thing. Like, this is just a whim of yours, right? And he doesn't say anything. So Londo fills in the gaps. He's like, "What are you? Wait, what? Fuck? Hang it. What? There's one on the station." He's like, "Well, maybe." And then he goes, "I'll have you transfer the files to you immediately. I'll be in my quarters." And he darts off. Whoop, whoop, whoop. He like runs off.
Yeah, he hunkers down in his
I know.
his room for safety.
I strongly suggest you do the same. Because it's like the boogeyman, I guess, is on the station. And this is when we go back to Aldous talking to the Minbari, and they're like, I am so sorry to say that the Grail isn't in the possession of the Minbari, nor have we heard of it prior to your visit, and we searched our records very thoroughly. It's so cute. They're like, we're so sorry to disappoint you, but we looked all over and we don't have it. And I really love this scene because of like the quiet support and the effort they went through because they so deeply respect his quest for quest's sake.
Yeah.
I just love that. And he's like, you guys have been really kind, like beyond my expectations. Like, thank you so much. He's like, I'm so grateful. I don't even have any way to express it. And she's like, it's okay. And we sent word to my homeworld and it's going to be relayed to all of our outposts. So if we do find the Grail or if we get any news, we will find you and bring you the news. Mm-hmm. And he's like, thank you so much. This is when Jinxo's like, well, I didn't really think you guys would help us since you tried to wipe us all out like 10 years ago. Remember?
Yeah.
the war.
That's really nice. I mean, with the war and all, I figured you folks would, well, you know.
There are two castes of Minbari, the warrior caste and the religious caste. The warrior caste would not understand. It is not their way.
So we will not tell them and spare them the confusion.
These two sides of your culture, do they ever agree on anything?
Yes. And when they do, it is a terrible thing. A terrible power, as recent events have shown us. Let us hope it never again happens in our lifetime.
And here's where we actually have one of the rare lore misstatements. I don't know how you want to phrase that. Like non-continuity error.
Yeah.
One of Babylon 5's rare continuity errors. And it's where they're like, we didn't really think you'd help us. Jinxo's like, because you guys you tried to kill us all. You tried to straight up murder everybody on Earth. And Lanier's like, well, there are two castes of Minbari, the warrior caste and the religious caste. And we don't often agree on things.
My in-head canon for why Lanier phrased it that way versus the fact that later there's three castes.
Yeah.
Is it's the religious caste and the warrior caste that are kind of most influential for this particular thing that like the war.
Yeah.
And like when the religious caste and the worker caste agree on things, it's okay. And same with the warrior caste and the worker caste. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just
when religion and politics ride in the same cart, the whirlwind follows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think he's highlighting that the problematic part is these two castes, not that there are only two castes in the entirety of Minbari society.
In perpetuity, that is the explanation that fans will go with, is that the worker caste exists, but it's not considered on par.
Right.
It is politically, but in practice, it's not necessarily.
Not ideologically.
It doesn't have the same level of influence over Minbari come and goes. So the reason that there were two to start with is because originally a lot of things are supposed to cycle around Delenn and Sinclair.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And Delenn representing the the religious caste.
Right.
And Sinclair representing the warrior caste.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be...
Oh, like a mirroring.
Yes, like a mirroring thing.
An analogy.
An analogy, I can't... Words. What is word?
Allegory, metaphor.
I'm trying to think of like, not reflective, but like it's supposed to be apples to apples, kind of.
Yeah.
And so the statement like, do these two sides of your culture ever agree? Yes. And when they do, it's a terrible thing. Like it's supposed to be like a religion and politics, religion and war, two sides of the same coin kind of thing. And then when Michael O'Hare had to leave, they changed it. They added the worker cast. And it makes more sense when you have 3.
Yeah.
Because you can't, there's some people are, not everybody is either a priest or a military person. Like somebody has to build the buildings.
Right.
So it makes more sense when we add the next one, add it. But this was, later it gets just like, oh, he misspoke. There's 3. It's just that the third one didn't matter to the conversation.
Right. Yeah, that's my take.
Yeah. And he's like, the warrior caste would not understand your whole thing here. It's not their way. So we're just not going to tell them because it will spare them the confusion.
Yes, they totally respect the warrior caste.
Yeah. And this is when they're like, do you guys ever agree on anything? And they're like, yeah, sometimes. And when we do, it is a terrible thing. Almost as if when religion and war fight together for the same purpose, it's a really bad idea. Like there should be a separation of church and state.
Maybe.
Like I feel like there's something here that we should probably be taking away. Anyway, he's like, let's just hope it never happens again in our lifetime. Yeah. This is when we cut back to Deuce and he goes and talks to the Knockaleen feeder, which is the only time we hear it talk. Because it's somewhat conscious. Like it has some amount of intelligence and it can speak, and it does. And it's like, I need more food, richer food, older minds.
Richer food, older minds,
want more. And Deuce is like, well, we're setting it up. And she sounds exactly like the lady from Poltergeist. More food, richer food, older minds.
Oh, there's a race in Mass Effect.
Okay.
That also looks very much like the Knockaleen feeder.
Okay. Do they also speak like that? More food.
I think they speak telepathically.
Oh, but that would make more sense if you eat mind energy. Telepath, especially since we know telepathy is a thing.
The Mass Effect race doesn't eat minds or anything. They're just
that's lame.
Up on long legs. Maybe they float. I don't quite remember.
Oh, you
gotta
play it again.
You only ever interact with them in the marketplace on the Citadel.
Wasn't Mass Effect
which is like Babylon 5?
Wasn't it a PlayStation 2 game? The first Mass Effect?
I think so.
All I remember,
and then the other ones were PS3.
Is you played it when we were traveling. You played it somewhere where I was forced to watch you do the like boop 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 probe, send probe, like the mining part for hours and hours.
I think it was just in the living room.
Maybe. I don't know. I just remember feeling like, still? Really?
So many resources.
But Deuce is like, we're setting it up. Find Jinxo. Get the ombuds. Why? It feels like actually capturing the judge is a bit of an overstep. Or some sort of statement about his amount of leeway on the station, the amount that he feels like he can get away with.
Right.
Because this guy literally calls a recess. They just go and take him out of his quarters and no one notices.
Right.
It's fine. We come back and Garibaldi has like information from Londo and they're like, wow, this is like top security information. I'm surprised he gave it to you. And they're like, yeah, he couldn't get it to us fast enough. He's locked inside his room.
Yeah.
Like, should we issue a general advisory that there is a mind-eating creature possibly loose on the station? And they're like, nah, dog. I don't want to make everybody panic. But people would be afraid. Well, yeah, people might be like, oh no, what will I do? I should protect myself.
Well, and they don't want to tip off Deuce.
Yeah, I guess. It's fine.
I think Garibaldi's position might be something like, these mind wipes have been happening for a while. They are extremely targeted towards like Deuce's enemies.
Yeah.
So he has a pretty like consistent level of control over it. Otherwise, we would be seeing more mind wipes if it was, running rampant.
Yeah, it's very targeted.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, we could issue a section alert. And they're like, nah, you're right. That would tip Deuce off. And this is when Dr. Franklin calls and he's like, Commander, we just finished the test. It's definitely a feeder. What test? What
Dr. Franklin.
What test did you perform,
Dr. Franklin?
Dr. Franklin.
Dr. Franklin. What did you do?
What did you test? He's like, well, my friend who did the mind wipe thing before, he's my friend. He's not me, but he left his equipment behind.
Yeah, he just happened to leave his equipment behind.
And I'm going to need...
Here. I was holding it onto it for him.
I'm going to need 1, maybe 2 new assistants. They
is that what happened to Ivanova's tech number 1?
Yeah. She's still around. She's in this episode.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that's what happened to his assistants. Because remember, sometimes we go and there's assistants, and sometimes we go and there's not. He's like, I just can't get good help. They don't stick around. I don't know. It's like the unfortunate airlock incident that took out Jakar's first aid.
Yeah.
Like that. Anyway. Garibaldi's like, well, I'm going to track down Jinxo because I think he probably knows some shit about shit. Like, I think he's got knowledge because I saw Deuce talking to him at the courtroom. And he's probably going to be able to tell me more about the feeder. And so he goes, okay, well, Aldous has agreed to rehabilitate Jinxo. So he's probably with him wherever he is. And he's like, okay, but like, really?
Aldous?
We gave him to the guy who's looking for the Grail? Is he genuine? And they're like, I mean, yeah, the question really is a genuine what?
He's really committed to the bit.
Yeah. This is when Sinclair goes, one man's lunatic is another's true seeker. Okay, come on. Come on, Sinclair.
You didn't have to direct that right at Delen's comment.
You didn't have to. It's fine. It feels everybody feels a little bit right of center in terms of character for this whole episode, which is probably just emblematic of having a writer who never has written for them before and will never write for them again. Because even Londo seems a little bit like the cartoon version of Londo.
Yeah.
And Sinclair, who would normally be like, okay, I respect that, is like, I don't know, maybe he's a lunatic, maybe he's a seeker, who knows? You're like, I don't really believe that that's what Sinclair would say, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's one episode, and then we move on. Because Garibaldi goes, you've been hanging out with Delen too much. She's rubbing off on you. You're starting to respect people. I don't know how I feel about that. You're not going to let me clean out down below at this rate. And then we cut to Londo, and he's on the phone. He's like, I don't care who authorized it or how old the quarantine is. I don't care about the budget. And I don't care about how much trouble this is for you. It's a dangerous beast. It's the most dangerous beast in the entire sector. It needs to stay fucking quarantined.
I don't care who authorized it. I don't care how old the quarantine is. I don't care about the budget. And I certainly don't care about how much trouble it is for you. We're talking about the most dangerous beast in the entire sector. Find someone who can say yes and put the quarantine back in place.
Find someone who can say yes and put the quarantine back in place. So they were like, I don't know. Is it really that bad? Take the quarantine down. It's fine.
It's like somebody going through to trim down budgets and like firing nuclear safety people.
Yeah. Or isn't there an oil spill in the Gulf right now, but the whole NOAA people in charge of handling oil spills are
got laid off?
Kind of like that. Mm-hmm. Or like in the Star Trek movie when they drop Khan off on that planet. And they're like, it's a fine planet. It's fine.
Anywhere. Oh, yeah. They forgot to check
Yeah, that there's not like a creature that crawls into your ear and takes over your brain.
Right.
Which is separate but distinct from the creatures that crawl into your ear and take over your brain and animorphs. It's fine.
Right.
It's two different things. Oh, I did see a thing that was like, can we all forget about Harry Potter and go back to Animorphs, guys? Can we go back to Animorphs?
Oh, yeah. It's like, I'm pretty sure Kay Applegate is not TERF.
Yeah. Oh, she's fine. She's gone on to write some pretty amazing books, in fact. Like the one and only Ivan. She's like a Newbery Award-winning like children's author now.
Yeah.
And she wrote this crazy, amazing scholastic book series that definitely shaped me as a child.
Literally a book a month.
And they're all free now. They're all free
on her website.
On her website for you to just go and read.
Yep.
And they're definitely worth a read. Do I have the entire series? Yes.
Yeah. Rachel spent the better part of a year
collecting
on
them.
used book sites.
Yeah.
Getting each individual book. So we have the entire hard copy series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm going to read
the original paperbacks.
Yeah. They're so fucking good. But this is when Aldous shows up and he's like, hey, I have an appointment to talk to you guys about the Grail. You know, with our long trading history, I was hoping you guys would be a really good prospect. And this is when Londo goes, oh, yeah. No, I remember you now. We're going to have to search our trade files. It's very complicated. It's very time consuming.
But if you can afford the fees.
And Veer goes, oh, no, it's fine. I already did it. And the look that Londo gives Veer, they're like, yes. God damn it, Veer.
They played this so well.
He's like, I thought it would really help to move things along. And it was a so interesting challenge that I went ahead. Like, you only gave us a minimal description. So, like, nothing seems to fit exactly. But you can definitely examine this crystal data that I have put together for you. And Londo goes, Veer, what are you doing?
Veer doesn't understand the art of the deal.
No, he's like, I'm being efficient. And he's like, more like you, and the Centauri will efficient itself into extinction. And Aldous is like, oh, okay, so I think we're just going to go now.
I think it's time for us to leave.
He's like, what a wonderful idea. Londo goes, what a wonderful idea. Please get the fuck out. Thank you for your time, Ambassador. This is when he's like, don't let anyone else in, okay? And he's like, sure, whatever. Veer looks so upset. Like, I did all this research. I was just trying to be helpful.
Yeah, Aldous sends a follow-up note.
And he goes,
Veer, thank you so much.
Fools to the left of me. Feeders to the right of me. Stuck in the middle with you. He goes, I need to find a real job. That's what Londo says. And this is when they're like, walking down the hallway and they're having kind of a heart-to-heart, Aldous and Thomas. And he's like, what will you do with the Grail? And he's like, heal people. He's like, I'm really hoping it's powerful enough to heal all of mankind. Humankind. And he goes, if I didn't know you, I would swear you were a few G's short of floating off. Like, how did you get here? Like, what life path led you to being the last seeker for the Grail? And he's like, well, I used to be a CPA.
Yeah.
I used to keep accounts for a major Earth corporation. Everything was very clean, precise, numbers. And then I took a vacation to the Mars colony, and we were on a crawler, and halfway across Amazonas Planitia, the ground gave way beneath us, and I woke up later, and my wife and children were all gone, which is a
horrifying,
really fucking sad backstory.
Yeah.
I went on a vacation, and my entire family died. And Thomas is like, oh, wow, I'm really sorry. And he's like, you know what? I grieved for a really long time. And then I went back to work, and I just...
The math didn't math.
Yeah, the numbers no longer added up. I just couldn't fucking do it. I couldn't. And then I just left. And I had to believe that there was some reason that I had been spared. I had to believe that I didn't die because I wasn't supposed to die.
Because there was something I needed to do.
And so I met a man.
I met a crazy man.
Eddie. I found the person I was meant to find, and he was the last of his kind. And he told me that I was a man of infinite promise and goodness, And then he gave me this staff, which is supposed to be a sweet moment, but it's the dumbest staff. And he carries it in the weirdest way. The whole time he's like cradling it like it's a baby instead of using it like a staff.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's probably the lack of direction. They were like, here's a stick, do something with it. And he was like, okay. And that probably if he did the like walk, it would made a thump sound and he would have to remove that in post. So they were like, don't thump it, just hold it. And he was like, okay. And he's like, he gave me his staff and now I'm the last. And now the numbers all add up again, Thomas. Like, this is why I was saved, is so that I could go on this quest. And if you think about it, he saves Jinxo. He saves Thomas. Yep. So while he may not find the Grail and he may not heal all of humankind, he heals at least one person.
Right. And when Jinxo accepts the mantle from him as he's laying on the floor.
Yeah.
Aldous says, I see it. Like,
I found the Grail.
Yeah. Like inspiring people, or seeing a person take on like that, the commitment to a principle is the Grail.
Maybe almost as if the Grail itself is not a physical object. It is the act of taking responsibility for your role in a community, and the fact that existing in a community means that you bear each other's burdens.
Yeah.
And I was reading an interesting article about like this native group that this guy had made contact with, and they gave him some food and he tried to say thank you. And they were like, please don't thank us. It's not a gift, because gifts make you a slave to someone else. So if I give you a
imply
gift,
a debt.
Yeah, gifts imply a debt, and debt implies that one person has power over the other. And so when you work in a true community, when I have excess, I give it away, because when someone else has excess.
Not because I'm being kind.
No.
But because that's my responsibility.
That's my responsibility to the group, is to ensure that I don't have too much when someone else has too little.
Because it could have been any of us.
Right. Because it isn't poverty that brings down a society. It is the greed of people who have too much and who refuse to share. Because we have enough in the world for everybody. But because some people have too much and won't share it, now we want to eat the rich. That's kind of like the healing that the Grail provides, is the community, the concept, the sending out of this one man to heal one other person. And like, he doesn't do something dramatic like find the Grail and heal all of humanity, but he fixes one guy. And does that not make his quest worthwhile? That is success. That is a worthy reason for him to have done what he did.
Yep.
Is this guy who would have otherwise just died in obscurity on Babylon 5, thinking that he was keeping Babylon 5 safe, now instead has a new purpose. And we come back to like the ombuds guy gets kidnapped because he takes a recess for 30 minutes. Now we're talking in minutes, which means that hours exist. Which means we didn't have to use cycle. I don't know what the fuck is happening. Time is relative. He takes a 30-minute recess and he gets just kidnapped. Like, he gets followed from his chambers and just snatched from his room.
Right.
Okay. And this is when we have the conversation where Thomas and Aldous are talking about the Grail. And he's like, well, what does it look like? Does it have jewels? Is it gold? And he's like, I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't even know what it looks like. And he's like, how can you find it if you don't know what you're looking for? And he's like, it's the search that counts. It's the looking for it.
Journey before destination.
Indeed. Indeed. And they come to try to take Jinxo, and he beats him up with his stick. And that's the whole point of this entire part.
For Aldous to demonstrate his martial competence.
He's like, there's a reason I carry this stick, and it's not just for gravitas. He's like, oh my God, you should not have done that. But also, can I learn how to do that? And he's like, yeah, of course you can, because you are a man of infinite promise and goodness. And Thomas is like, oh, stop it. And he tells him, the fact that you're still here on Babylon 5 is proof of that, because you're risking your life to stay here because you think you're keeping people safe. And And it's all a matter of perspective because you're a good man. You are a good man, Thomas. See yourself for what you are, not what others try to make you. And then they go to talk to Kosh, and they never actually get to talk to Kosh because as soon as Thomas sees Kosh, he's like, oh no, he's going to eat our brains. And Kosh is just standing there like, I turned my TV off for this. Like, why are you guys, where are you going?
So I can go back to my shows?
He's like,
are you canceling the appointment?
Can I turn my screen back on? What are you watching? TV. Like, so he runs away and he runs down to a box room. And honestly, he should have known at this point, shit's going to go sideways. Oh no, there's so many boxes. And Aldous chases him down there.
There should be a PSA on Babylon 5. Do not go into rooms that only contain boxes.
Yeah, it's never going to end well for you.
The buddy system.
Yeah.
Use the buddy system for rooms with boxes.
The box room buddy system.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The BRBS. It's not BRB like be right back. It's you need your BRB, your box room buddy. He's like, why did you come down here? Why did you follow me? Didn't you see like Kosh? Kosh is like, you don't know what he can do. You don't know what I've seen. It was terrible. And all this is like, whatever you saw, it was obviously important. Like if it involves the Vorlon, like if you're that scared because you saw him do something bad, then you need to go and tell Sinclair. You can't run away all your life. And Thomas is like, you're right. I'm not going to run away, but I would like you to run away. Can you get on a ship and leave right now? Like, flee the premises. And he's like, no, we're going to go and see the commander together. He's not afraid for his life. He doesn't have anything left to lose.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'll be right there with you. Come on, we'll go. And this is when everything kind of comes to a head because Deuce and his buddies show up and they hit Aldous with a defibrillator in the back, a little shock stick, and knock him out before he can knock them all out with his stick. And they're like, you've got 10 minutes to reach Deuce and give him the money or the information, or we're going to feed your friend to the Vorlon. And that's kind of that whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know, the final confrontation between Jinxo and Deuce and whatever. The hostage situation scene.
Right.
Because now we go back to Sinclair talking to Ivanova. This episode has a lot but not a lot going on all at the same time. Because everyone's experiencing this stuff in real time, except everybody else who's trying to figure out what is happening like one step removed, because we're like solving the mystery and experiencing the consequences all at the same time. I don't know. It's just not there's good moments in this episode, but I would not classify this as a great episode. Who was like, I want to know who was in the writer's room and was like, what if we had an episode where somebody's looking for the Grail? Can we have a King Arthur episode? I think we should have a king. Well, honestly, it should have ended with somebody coming in and being like, oh, I found it. Did he already leave? Because they're like, have you figured out how the feeder got here? And this is when Ivanova's like, 89 ships came here from the Centauri sector. Half went through the quarantine area. And if I eliminate those with no cargo and no like positive background, like we know they're not smugglers and they didn't have any cargo interactions, that still leaves 24 possibilities. And they're like, I mean, with any luck, we'll figure it out soon enough. And then they're like, boop, boop. Oh yeah, Ombuds Wellington disappeared after recess. And they're like, his quarters are a mess. We think maybe he's down at the casino. Like, I don't know. Oh, he got kidnapped. If only we had some sort of cameras in the court. At least in the like side areas. Because this guy got in there. How did Deuce get in there? Is it not a sealed? It's fine. It's fine. It's not the moment for that. It's not the moment for that. Because what's happening is the ombudsman has been held captive and tied in this chair. They have Aldous just standing there. There's a couple of thugs. There's Jinxo and Deuce, and they're all in the box room. And we're going to have our final showdown, which doesn't really explain a lot. Like it doesn't, because what happens is the feeder is like, woo, does the like tentacle
The
thing.
feeder comes out for the judge, but Aldous is there.
Aldous
and
is
Aldous
like-
is like, uh-uh.
Aldous is like, no, this man is under my protection. There's nothing in the dark. No fear, no pain, only the light.
There is nothing in the dark. No fear, no pain, only the light. Show yourself.
And the feeder doesn't know what to do with
The
that.
feeder's like, what?
I wonder if the feeder is staying away from Aldous because it's like, I don't want to eat crazy brain patterns. That would mess me up.
Because he's like, show yourself. Show yourself. I don't know. Maybe he realized that at any moment someone could just reach out and grab the part of the tentacle that doesn't have the mind wipe thing. What's it going to do? I don't know. Aldous has bigger balls than any feeder is what I put in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
The assurance of someone on a quest for quest's sake, not just a seeker. What an amazing concept. That's what I wrote down. So he's just like, you can't scare me. I'm looking for the fucking grail. And this is when it does show itself. It pops out of the Kosh thing. And we get like a CG alien.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a pretty good job because the lighting is dim. You know, we do a couple of tricks. And Garibaldi shows up with security and he's like, Peter, Carver, McLean. He just throws out these names. He's like, go after those bozos. Yeah. This is a really funny moment because ultimately Thomas is going to try to save the ombudsman, which is his like, oh, he finally doesn't run away. He finally takes responsibility. But also Garibaldi showed up with a whole group of people and none of them ran in to free the ombuds guy.
Right.
They all just like go find a box and hide behind it. And they're like, I don't know. That guy he's just on his own. I don't fucking know. I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly is happening here. I'm struggling to talk about it because it doesn't even feel like it happens in order in any particular way, shape, or form. It's just like chaos. Because
so Garibaldi's focused on the feeder.
Yeah, they're shooting the feeder. It's not dying. But the feeder also pops up and is like, it's roaming loose in this room and you have a man tied up. You wouldn't go free the guy? Thomas ends up having to go free the guy. And then he's going to get shot. This guy stands up and like holds up a gun because of course all the bad guys have guns. Why wouldn't they all have guns? It's not like guns are not banned on Babylon 5 or something. And Aldous runs out and he's like, Thomas, no. And he like pushes Thomas to the left. He turns and looks to the right. And then he gets shot from the direction that he pushed Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And he must have hit him in the shoulder just right because he falls
it's a
down.
fatal wound.
And they're like, medical emergency in Brown 9. I have a man standing by to guide you in. And he's like, it's too late. I mean, they could have just shot him in the knee and he'd be like, no, I'm not going to survive this. That was my good shoulder. That's my stick carrying arm. I can't survive without it. He's like, don't say that. You're going to be fine. And he's like, no, my search is over. I failed. He got shot in the shoulder. He got shot like there's like a bright light.
Right.
I mean, if you wanted me to believe he's dying, you should have shot him literally.
Right. It literally passed the bolt passed across his chest. They could have had the blast hit him in the chest or something, but it explodes on his right shoulder.
Right.
After coming from the left. So.
Yeah, because nothing in that scene makes sense. Nothing in this particular. This is the moment where you're like, this feels very high school theater.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
I don't know what's happening.
There was no one kind of fine coordinating everybody.
Someone gets their mind wiped. I don't know if it's a bad guy or a good guy that gets their mind wiped. I couldn't tell
It's
you.
a bad guy.
Okay, because we don't get to see his outfit. He should be turned towards the camera so I can see.
He's standing behind a box with
a
his gun out.
Yeah,
and
he
the
gets
feeder
eaten. And they end up
sneaks up behind
shooting
him.
the feeder and its head explodes and all of a sudden it's a prop and not CG.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look anything like it did when it was CG, but it's fucking fine. And this is when Thomas is like, no, you're not the only one left. You can leave all of your assets to me. It's totally fine. I'll carry on your quest. I'll find the Grail. And he's like, no, Thomas, don't. You really? And he's like, yeah, I want to do it. I'll find it, Aldous. I swear I'll find it. And he's like, Commander Sinclair, please witness. So Commander Sinclair pops over and he's like, okay, I'm listening. Because I named Thomas heir and successor to everything I have. And he's like, cool, I witnessed this last testament. And then he says, I
and
see
instead
it.
of trying to save him.
No, they're all standing there. No, it's fine.
Maybe he has a heart condition. Maybe he has a pacemaker and it got disrupted.
It shorted it out or something. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like a guy got blown out of an airlock after a plasma driver explosion. Remember the plasma driver episode where everything was plasma driver? Yeah, a plasma driver caused a bomb to explode and the guy got shot out the airlock and he lived long enough to make it to med bay. This guy got winged on the shoulder, like a flesh wound on the elbow. And they're like, yeah, he's gone.
It's too late.
He's gone, Thomas. There's nothing we can do. I've seen wounds like this before. You don't just come back from a shot to the shoulder. He goes, I see it, Thomas. The Grail. And then he does this like eyebrow raise, like, like this. Does this. What? It totally undermines the whole moment because he's supposed to be like, I finally found it. My quest is complete. And then he does like like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like
right.
eyebrow raise thing. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. He died. That was it.
He did.
He did die. He died. He died of whatever was happening here, of overall incompetence, I would say, because someone allowed a giant mind-eating creature to be smuggled on board, who is sentient, by the way.
Right.
So a sentient creature, a enslaved sentient creature, was smuggled on board. Somebody made an exact replica of Kosh's suit, and it lived in there. No one found it. Well, the suit could roll around, so I guess it was mobile enough. But, like, this all feels so preventable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why did Jinxo run down to this particular room? Why was this room where everybody was waiting? Although they kind of take him to... I don't know. It's fine. This is just a bad moment. It's not well written. We come back, and Sinclair is talking to Kosh. And he's like, don't worry, we confiscated the fake encounter suit. But it was like a really close match to yours. Like, they did a really good job. Are you guys selling that fabric on the open market now? Because they definitely had your, like, sparkly fabric. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, it's definitely a side gig.
We all got a side hustle.
Yeah. He keeps claiming that his suit needs repairs, and they send him fabric, and he just hawks it on the black market to pay for his television subscriptions. That's how he pays his cable bill. Because they stopped paying. They were like, Kosh, you need to be an ambassador. You can't just binge watch Korean dramas.
Right. So he has to pay for it, but not in a way that the Vorlons can
and
see.
He's like, okay, whatever. My suit needs repair. And they're like, fucking again? And he's like, oh, there's a nail in my quarters. I just need somebody to hammer it in, but I keep catching my cloak on it. He's like, yeah, the Deuce wanted people to think Vorlons worked for him. And he figured it would add to his image and intimidate people. And Kosh goes, why? He's like, well, because no one knows what you look like, and that makes people nervous. And Kosh goes, Good. Yep. And now they're leaving to go to Theta 5. I believe I've already expressed my opinion on planet name and number. If you ever read a sci-fi book, don't do that. Give it a name. Unless, I don't know, whatever. It's one of my least favorite sci-fi conventions. And Sinclair's like, wow, I'm really surprised to see you here, Delenn, because Delenn walks in. Because they're all waiting to see Aldis's remains board the ship. And Delenn's like, I mean, you shouldn't be. After all, I'm not surprised to see you here.
I'm surprised to see you here.
Shouldn't be. After all, I'm not surprised to see you here.
Just felt like someone should be. It's a hard thing to live your life searching for something and never find it.
Are you speaking of Aldous? Or someone else?
Aldous.
Sinclair's like, well, I just kind of felt like somebody should be here. It's hard to live your life searching for something and never find it. And Delenn goes, are we talking about Aldous or someone else? And Sinclair does not play it off well. He's like, I don't know. And he like turns away. He's like, Aldous. I'm talking about Aldous. Obviously. But then he like spins and does the like couple of steps away. Like, I'm running away from my lie. And Delenn goes, I mean, but there you're wrong, because he did find what he was looking for. What we're all looking for. A reason. And Sinclair goes, for what? And she's like, for everything. A reason for everything.
Mic drop.
Yep. And this is when Garibaldi walks in and he's like, treat it gently, boys. Treat it gently. And I know it's supposed to be a moment of like, he's honoring this guy who previously...
Right, he actually respects him now.
Yeah, like he didn't respect him when he was just the guy looking for the Grail, but when he's willing to do the security officers' jobs for them, now he's worthy of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Totally fine. What was the alternative? If he didn't tell them to treat it gently, what would they have done?
Oh, the same thing.
Wheeled it in, propped it up. Even though it says keep store flat, they tip it
This
up.
side up.
This side up. Okay, it's fine. Because this is Aldous' coffin. And they're like, well, I thought Jinxo was supposed to be here to see him home.
And Garibaldi.
And they're like, I haven't seen him.
Well, Garibaldi has gained respect for Aldous.
He has not gained it for Jinxo.
No.
Nope. He's like, he's not the type to keep promises. And they're getting on the Marie Celeste, which is a famous ghost ship. Like, it was a Canadian-built, American-registered merchant brigantine. It was discovered adrift and deserted on the Atlantic Ocean in 1872. And it was at partial sail. All of the cargo was intact. Everybody's stuff was on it, but the lifeboat was missing, and they never found anybody that was on it. And the last entry in her log was dated 10 days earlier. So at some point, everybody just disappeared. And that's what they're getting on. I always like to check and see, because sometimes the names of the ships are like a wink, wink.
Yeah.
As they are loading the coffin, Thomas arrives, and he's all dressed up. He had to wait because he had to get those clothes altered to fit him.
Yeah. Because Aldous was like 8 inches taller than him.
Yes, he was significantly taller, and he shows up with the same getup, with the stick and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm here. I'm ready to follow him. Like, I'll take him home. And Delenn gives him this little thing, and she's like, put this on the ground where he rests and crush it. It will glow every night for 100 years. It's our way with true seekers. It's such a sweet little, like, homage. And then she looks over at Sinclair very significantly. Like, if you were dead right now, I'd put one of these on your grave, just so you know.
Mm-hmm. Does Sinclair notice?
I don't know. There's a lot of significant looks back and forth between them.
Mm.
Yeah. He's like, thank you. I will. And Sinclair tells him, for what it's worth, I hope you find it. I hope you find the Grail. And Garibaldi goes, take care, Jinxo. Thomas is like, it's Thomas, actually. My name. It's Thomas. And then he leaves. And that's the end of that plot. But we can't not wrap up the Londo thing, because Londo has been hiding in his quarters this entire time. So Garibaldi goes to let him know that he is now free to return to the casino.
It's safe.
He's like, are you sure it's dead? And he's like, oh, I'm positive. Dead as a rock. I saw it with my own eyes.
Pile of spaghetti.
Yeah. It's like, how do you know it's not just resting? Feeders are very sneaky. Well, its brains were like everywhere.
Yeah.
It is really dead. He goes, Londo, trust me. And Londo
And
goes,
then Garibaldi tries to...
Oh, he fucks with him.
Just mess with him.
Yeah, right. Because
Of
the
course.
first thing that Londo does is go, there you are, Veer. See, I told you there was nothing to worry about. He's young. Sometimes he panics. You know how it is. And Garibaldi's like, well, we've learned a lot about it, such as before they attack, they get really quiet. And the key is, as long as you can hear them, you know where they are. But as long as there's noise around, you're safe. And if you hear nothing, then you need to worry. And then he leaves. And Veer's like, wow, really?
Londo goes inside.
He goes,
closes
it's
the
awfully
door.
quiet out here, isn't it, Ambassador? But Londo's already gone back in. And he's like, Ambassador? Get the fuck back out.
Open the door!
Ambassador, this isn't funny, is what he says. And then Garibaldi, Ivanova, and Sinclair are all watching the ship leave with Aldous and Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And Garibaldi goes, there goes Thomas. There goes Thomas. And Ivanova goes, what do you think about the curse? And Sinclair's like, I'm sorry, what? What curse? He's like, you know that if he leaves Babylon 5, what happens to the other Babylon stations will happen to us. And Sinclair's like, oh, that curse. Are we taking that seriously? Oh, no. But they're like, okay, but like how long until he hits the jump? And Ivanova's like, right about now. And you see the jump gate close. And Garibaldi goes, no boom? And Sinclair goes, no boom. And Ivanova goes, no boom today.
Boom tomorrow.
Boom tomorrow. There's always a boom tomorrow. And they just leave. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? She's like, what? Somebody has to have some damn perspective around here. Boom. Sooner or later, boom. It's very prophetic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of the episode. We had 2 hot mess episodes back and forth, like back to back. You can tell because I had a really hard time staying on target in the middle there when there's just a lot happening and I don't really want to spell it all out step by step because it's like Jinx goes here and then he talks to that guy and then that guy goes over there and talks to that guy and then they all end up in that room and then they're all going to die and then it's fine. The only thing that matters is how cool the way the Minbari treated Aldous was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. And the funny Londo stuff, even though it feels like a caricature of Londo, it's fine.
And the court scene that could have definitely been a spin-off series.
Yes. Well, there is a courtroom drama that had Yoan Gruffeld in it. And it was it got canceled like immediately. And it was called Century City. It also has Viola Davis in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the future where people are handling court cases related to
just outrageous stuff.
Sometimes outrageous, sometimes not. Like one is this lady has gotten a cosmetic penis attached.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pay enough, they can be functional, but hers is cosmetic. And she doesn't tell a guy. So when they go back to do what you would do after a date, he finds out she has a penis and he freaks out and he sues her for emotional damage. And so they have to... Was she under any obligation to tell him that she had a penis? Or was is that really emotional damage? Is it just like a thing about her body that she didn't necessarily need to inform him of ahead of time or like whatever? And some of them are like that. And some of them are like this guy spikes a lady's drink with like nanobots. And so when she leaves with this other guy, he records her having sex with him, but like through her full experience as if he is her so that he can live that sexual experience
from
through
her perspective. Yeah.
But she doesn't know that he did that. So it's like she was taped illegally, basically. And there were some really interesting episodes. And that's like you could have done something like this in that type of a show where you would have like, my great granddad got kidnapped by this alien group and they held him and he lost his job and I want reparations.
Right. And that resulted in generational trauma.
Right. Because my family was like, we lost that opportunity there and it like had a ripple effect throughout my entire bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
So I demand damages. Like that would have been it would have been a great spinoff. I would watch that. I would watch the shit out of that. I did. I liked that show. It got canceled like
Century
immediately.
City.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's about sums it up, honestly, because we didn't really cover anything.
Yeah, there's no overarching plot.
This is the first time we mentioned the casts, I think. And this is one of the first times we really get perspective on the other stations. Like we knew there were 5, but we haven't really discussed what happened or like the significance of what happened to the first 4. And this is our first big mention of what happened to Babylon 4. Because we mentioned it disappeared, but we haven't talked about the fact that it literally just fucking disappeared. Like it just went bloop. Right. It didn't blow up. It didn't implode. It didn't get like towed away. It literally just like gone. And yeah, that's about sums it up. This is a good example of like season 1 was good. I really enjoy season 1, but there are some moments where you're like, all right, if I had waited a week and then this episode was the one that aired, I'd have been like, okay, well, all right. I guess I'll watch the next one and hope it really picks up.
Yeah.
And it does. The next one's really good. The next one's really good. I know, because we already watched it. Now, maybe that's why I try not to do that. I really try to stick to the one that we're just talking about, because sometimes the next episode's better. And I would really rather be talking about eyes. Right. Because in the next episode, we meet another telepath, which is the first time we've really met another telepath besides like the people drinking the Kool-Aid, besides Talia, who's all in on Psychor, and then Bester. And then we had Ironside, but whatever, that's a whole other thing. But we finally meet a guy who was like, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I just wanted to be like you. And then I was a telepath, so I couldn't. And so I'm just trying to serve the way that I want, way that I had dreamed of, as closely as possible, knowing that being a fighter pilot is totally out of my reach.
Right.
And he does a really good job. And I wish we'd had that character. Like, I wish we had a telepath character.
A reluctant telepath?
Yeah, not like Talia, who pops up every once in a while to just be like, oh, my head hurts because, ooh, whatever. But like, I'm just trying to, there's things that I have to do that I am obligated to do because I'm forced to be a part of this organization, but I don't want to. And
right,
I'm going to.
Like fundamentally complicit in
the Sinclair version of a telepath, where it's like, let me read the rules and figure out what that actually means.
Right.
And not just me being a megalomaniac bad guy because I believe I am the superior species. Ha, ha, ha,
right.
ha, ha. Which has its place. But also, yeah, I really enjoy that character. And now that we've plugged that, next week's scenes from next week's all new episode, I guess we'll just leave it here. So we live for the one.
We die for the one.
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
No boom?
No boom.
No boom today. Boom tomorrow. There's always a boom tomorrow.
What? Look, somebody's got to have some damn perspective around here. Boom. Sooner or later. Boom!